What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing fine wherever you are today. This is a present Jinjuk Stories, and I'm hoping that you're fine. Now, for how many times have they lied to you? They told you that the United States is meritocrat, right? And if you work hard, everything's just gonna go the way you want. Now, see, Mr. Donald Trump himself is trying to take back the United States back to its Jim Crow times because while you tried to revoke the 1965 civil rights that belongs to people that represented the minorities, you came to think about important factors that happened during Jim Crow moments because equally it's almost same like what was happening during those Jim Crow times. The discrimination in workplaces, disparities in education, especially for marginalized groups. And I think this is a factor, this is a strong factor. And amongst other things that people are waiting to hear about the high cost of living standard, and it's just going to be getting worse and worse and worse. So I don't understand, because I was trying to argue in a rational way, saying that maybe we should give Mr. Donald some time to try figure out. I don't understand. I fail to understand why it feels like the civil rights is not working for the United States. Why is he revoking this? Because this is an important part of American integration. Because when we talk about civil rights, talking about things like education, talk about things like affirmative action. The Mr. Donald Trump's recent revocation of the executive order, that is 11246, originally was signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965. This has a significant implication for Black Americans and other marginalized groups. Honestly, for me, I feel like this is just taking Black people back to Jim Crow moments. Because if people are not well represented at the workplaces, people are not represented in educational, we are going to see wealth disparities, we are going to see educational disparities, health disparities, same things. Because if we are trying to figure out the amount that Americans themselves are paying in health, I mean, that's raising a lot of questions, a lot of things that we need to discuss about. And so people are trying to talk about this, and I want us to watch this video where people are trying to talk about this issue. I hope you find this video so helpful, and let's have a discussion about this because this is an important part of discussion. Let's watch the video. I'll be back and we'll have a discussion about this.
You ninjas are going to learn. You're going to learn the hard way just what we meant when we said that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, they were not the same. Donald Trump just revoked the Civil Rights Act of 1965. This is the act that protected Black people, brown people, LGBTQIA plus people, marginalized groups from being discriminated against when trying to get employment. It helped to ensure that everyone had an equal opportunity of getting employment. Everyone being Black and brown people, members of the LGBTQIA plus community. They couldn't discriminate against you based on your religion. Yeah, Donald Trump just revoked that. You can go out there on social media and find this article underneath Axios. Donald Trump's order directs all executive departments and agencies to terminate all discriminatory and illegal preferences, mandates, policies, programs, activities, guidance regulations, enforcement actions, consent orders, and requirements. And don't think this is just on a federal level. He took care of the private sector too. And this revocation extends out to the private sector. Quote, I further order all agencies to enforce our long-standing civil rights laws and to combat illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, policies, and programs. Donald Trump is quoted as saying, quote, the federal government is charged with enforcing our civil rights laws. The purpose of this order is to ensure that it does so by ending illegal preferences and discriminations, end quote. Illegal preferences and discriminations is it ties along the lines of they believe that white people are being discriminated against, and they believe black and brown people, gay people are illegally getting a leg up over them. When they say illegal discrimination, they're not talking about you, black and brown people. They're talking about them. Donald Trump's order goes further to say, it orders federal agencies to compile lists of public companies, universities, and large foundations for investigations and possible civil action over their DEI programs. If you did not vote in the 2024 election, if you voted third party in the 2024 election, if you voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election, if you encouraged other people to not vote or to vote third party or to vote for Donald Trump in the 2024 election, you did this. You did this. I don't care how fucking small you think your community is. I don't think how fucking small you think your platform is. Your voice, your actions resonated with a lot of people to head out to the polls or to not vote at all. Your actions contributed to this. And elections have consequences. And here we are, the consequences of your actions.
For every black Republican, I really want y'all to take a long look in the mirror and ask, do you love the color of your skin? Because y'all allowed this man in office. It's something that our ancestors fought for, got beat for, got dogs on them, got sprayed with water hoses, got hung for. They fought for these rights for us, and y'all squandered them away for money. Y'all squandered them away just to be closer to white people. What a disgrace y'all are to our community. My mom wasn't even born when this shit came through. My mom wasn't even born. And you mean to tell me y'all let this man take this from us? Something our ancestors fought for? Y'all really let that shit happen? If you are black and you voted for this man, go play in traffic. Because this shit right here, this should have never happened. Everybody is about to suffer for this. Everybody. Everybody. Race, color, religion, national origin. This man is making America white again before Jim Crow, and we told y'all that. We told y'all he is trying to take us back to Jim Crow. And y'all sat there and y'all said, I don't want DEI. I don't want an advantage. DEI is not a fucking advantage. It's just to put us in the room because we're just as qualified as any other white man. And y'all let this shit go down. I'm gonna try not to cry because the bitch got a meeting.
The 14th Amendment is an important part of the United States Constitution. It was added in 1868 after the Civil War to make sure that black people who had just been freed from slavery were treated as citizens. Before this, black people were not allowed to be citizens even if they were born in the United States. The 14th Amendment states plainly, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside, unquote. This means anyone born in the United States is automatically a citizen no matter where their parents are from. So this is called birthright citizenship. Recently, President Donald Trump said he wants to sign an executive order to end birthright citizenship. He says it encourages people to come to the United States illegally, but can he actually do that? Technically, no. He cannot do that. The 14th Amendment is part of the Constitution, and no president can change the Constitution on their own. Changing it takes a long process involving Congress and the states, but everything is unprecedented until it's not. If Trump tries to stop birthright citizenship with an executive order, it will likely be challenged in court. The 14th Amendment is clear about citizenship, and the Constitution is stronger than a so-called executive order. For now, the conditions of birthright citizenship have not changed. If you are born in the United States, you are a citizen, but stay safe and stay vigilant.
I'm going to be very short and very to the point. To the white people watching this, and especially to the white people that know me in the real world, my friends, okay? Today, Trump did away with the Equal Employment Opportunity Act. You know the history of that, and you know why it had to be implemented in the first place. So when you went in that booth, if you cast your vote for Donald Trump, we're done. If you didn't hear me the other times I've said it, I just want to reiterate it now. You cannot vote for somebody that takes away the Equal Employment Opportunity Act, knowing the history behind it and why it had to be put in place. You can't cast your vote for him and look at me and tell me that you love me. You're done. And I mean that for life. Unfucking believable. They try to paint it as this saving grace for civil rights when really they just want to fill the federal government with all of their selected employees that are loyalists no matter what. So even after the 4 years that Donald Trump is done, even if another MAGA loyalist or Republican takes the presidency, they still have to go through all of this bullshit because now you got only MAGA federal employees. No diversity, no inclusion. Talking about some fucking based off merit. We know what it has to be based off. Did you bend the knee to Donald Trump? Cool. You now have a job in the federal government. We fired everybody else. You knew what you were voting for. Donald Trump knows he cannot run again. If you think that you think they're doing all this shit just to disappear in 4 years, they're setting it up for the long game. They're setting it up for the fucking long game. So now if I go in and I want to get a loan for a home, if I want to get a business loan, I guarantee you it's going to be so much easier for the white man who they love and select to get a loan than it is for me to start my business. Fast forward into the next generation, my bloodline is now affected because I couldn't start my business as soon as this guy could because he's white and he got the loan. It's an example, but do you see how shit like this affects generation after generation after generation? We get robbed of opportunities because of your selfish ass vote. Did he sign an executive order for price gouging? Did he sign a fucking executive order for these grocery stores to stop looking at you with no fucking money and increasing the prices anyway? That's what he told y'all. Where's the executive order for that? Oh, well, it's a process and it's complicated. It can't, excuses. Like it always fucking is from y'all. Done, dude. Out my fucking face, man. Think about how big of a fucking pussy you have to be, man. You don't want anybody criticizing you or speaking out against your ideology, so you try to suppress the flow of information in social media because you're a strong leader, but you can't take fucking criticism. And then on top of that, when you lose or when your people lose, you blame it on fucking DEI and the corrupt government. Because the guy who you fucking lost to is not fucking white, but he's also more qualified than you. You can't fucking wrap your head around that. You have fucking terminal, incurable hatred in your heart. And it's genuinely not until recently I had to accept that even those type of people can fucking exist. I cannot control your existence, but I can control your access to my fucking life, bro. Out of here.
This is why people stopped talking to y'all while you were excommunicated from your family and friends, because we knew this was going to happen. Donald Trump has revoked the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1965. Make America Great Again always meant a return to open racism, sexism, and other forms of bigotry. You were either too stupid to know that, or this is what you wanted all along. In either case, you're trash. The order prohibited discrimination in hiring and employment based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. His voters wanted this all along because they were told many times that this would happen. That's why they're all grouped together and we have a zero tolerance policy for them. They knew they were wrong about it because they were crashing out, but we stand by what we said. We don't want you here. You can't hang out with us. The presidential message says that industries and institutions have adopted and actively used dangerous, demeaning, and immoral race and sex-based preferences under the guise of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion. So-called diversity, equity, and inclusion, because everything was so fair prior to 1965. I know his voters are dumb and he's trying to rewrite history, but they can't be that dumb. He calls it ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity, back before black people had rights. It's not a meritocracy when black people can't vote and they're not allowed to hold certain positions. Restoring merit-based opportunity means restoring white supremacy. I'm just going to say it now because TikTok's suppressing me anyway. You know who benefited from the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1965? Katherine Johnson, a black woman and mathematician at NASA who wasn't allowed in the same meeting rooms as white men and couldn't put her name on her research papers. Is this the kind of merit-based opportunity he's talking about? To my friends wanting to know what to do next, be disruptive and vocal because every battle counts. We're the ones who have the power, not them.
So what I learned today is a lot of y'all you don't care about your history. You don't care about the people that made sacrifices for you to be able to be where you are today, to be able to do the things that you're able to do, to be able to have the opportunities that you're able to have. You don't care about it. I just got off the phone with my mom, who just got off the phone with her mom, my grandmother, who she had to console because she was boo-hoo crying. And my mom didn't realize why. My grandmother was crying because she had saw the news that the orange man in charge had just put an executive order to repeal the Equal Opportunity Employment Act of the Civil Rights Act of 1965. Now understand, before that executive order was placed, that stood for over 50 years. An employer could literally tell you to your face, well, I'm sorry, I don't hire black people. I don't hire women. And no consequences. They could literally be just that discriminatory towards people. And the reason that it upset my grandmother so much is because she remembers my great-grandmother and great-grandfather, her parents, the sacrifices, the marching, the hard working, the speaking out and trying to help change, trying to help get these opportunities for us, and the sacrifices these people made to their own families, not to being around their families sometimes because they were fighting for the good of us as a people, as a whole. And all this time later, to see what you might think is trivial, what you might think is small, to see something that they worked, sacrificed, clawed, and scratched for be taken away by the stroke of a pen. And all because a few of us, not saying a lot of us, a few of us, because it was 92% and 80%. But every one of us counts. And a few of us decided a little bit of money was more important than preserving our history, than preserving the things that we fought for, to be able to have opportunities in this place. It's just sad, man. It's sad that, the further we get away from those times, the further our elders pass away and leave this world, and we aren't taught the things we need to be taught, and the knowledge isn't passed on to us. The further we get from that, the more and more easily it's going to be for things to roll back and go back in that direction. And I mean, it's unfortunate, but hey, man, just gotta keep grinding, keep fighting a good fight, and look for better days, work towards better days. But man, just hearing my mom and knowing that hurt my grandmother like that it's crazy, man. Yeah, we gotta do better. As a whole, we gotta do better.
So I felt I had a responsibility to talk about a topic that I'm passionate about and is near and dear to my heart. And I know that there has been a lot of misinformation about this Executive Order 11246. So if you haven't heard anything about it, or if you're unfamiliar with this executive order, is basically an executive order that was implemented during the Lyndon B. Johnson administration in September of 1965. And then basically just required affirmative action and ensuring that federal contractors were prohibited from engaging in discriminatory practices based on race, color, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or other protected statuses applicable by law. And so one thing that the Trump administration has done within these last 24 to 48 hours was rescind this executive order avoiding those protections. And now Trump and his team has decided that the federal agencies and federal contractors should not be engaging in discussions about diversity, equity, inclusion in their policies or hiring employment decisions, and neither should they be engaging in any affirmative action efforts. But it begs the question, like, what is the aim and true goals of the Trump administration as it relates to this? Who are they trying to target in the federal workforce as it relates to this? The whole point of affirmative action is to ensure that people have opportunities to those positions that were once denied to them, especially as it relates to women and minorities. And so if we don't have protections in place as it relates to that, it leaves people like women and minorities vulnerable to discriminatory practices at the hands of federal agencies or federal contractors. So yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen as it relates to potential litigation surrounding the Trump and his team and these executive orders. But I do want to inform people that you still have federal protections as employees under the Civil Rights Act of 1964 under Title VII, which basically prohibits employers from engaging in any discriminatory practices based on an employee's race, color, or other protected statuses applicable by law, especially as it relates to hiring and employment decisions. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand not only the executive order of 11246, but also your rights under federal civil rights law, as well as anti-discrimination laws. So I hope that I was able to inform you about these two concepts. If I misspoke about anything that I shared with you, I invite anyone to help clarify what I spoke about or to elaborate further on the discussion. But please comment, and I hope to have a respectful conversation about what this looks like. And yeah, I'm curious to see what these next...
Hello, brothers and sisters. How are you doing? Honestly, I feel like something is wrong. Something is not right with that administration, because by resigning this order, the Trump administration has effectively eliminated the requirements for the federal contractors to develop and maintain affirmative action plans that addresses disparities in employment, right? For underrepresented groups, this change may lead to a reduction in workplace diversity and in the efforts to rectify historical employment discrimination. Civil rights advocates expresses concern that rollback threatens decades of progress in promoting equality and addressing structural racism. Because initially the 1965 civil rights that was put was to reduce structural racism, and you're being told that America is a meritocratic country, that when you work hard, you're going to be finding everything that you're going to be working hard for. But right now, you see, the 1965 civil right have been revoked. What's the implication of that to black people and the marginalized group? Because this is a question that we need to ask ourselves, because you understand, it's going to be getting worse for black people, because honestly, this is just getting back black people to Jim Crow moments. Let's just be real. Let's just be for real. I mean, this is crazy, right? I was having hopes with the Trump administration, but I'm seeing it's getting worse, because I'm not even hearing him talking about the developments, what he's going to be doing about health issues, what he's going to be doing about housing issues, because from my observation, people in the United States are complaining and explaining about this. And so it leaves you with a lot of questions. What do you think about all this? Are we going to vision people going back to the Jim Crow moments, or are we going to see a development at the same time in regards to this? Because I feel like this is a discussion that we need to have, and I think we're going to be seeing some law petitions in regards to this. Americans agreeing with this, because America it's composed of different people: Latinos, Chinese Americans, the Asian American group and its entirety, black people on the other side, white America on the other side. So what's the implication of this? How are we going to meet and talk about this? How does this really feel? Because I feel like the revocation of this is the start of fascism, it's the start of bigotry. Because when discrimination happens, people will be left with no otherwise, and we're going to be visioning some people finding different means of finding employment because they're going to be not employed because they're black, right? So I mean, it doesn't make sense at all. There has to be something that has to be done. It's either by the citizens of the United States country, or something just have to be done. I believe that we are yet to vision a lot of law petitions in regards to this, because you can't tell me that a country full of people who want to have a life in this country, and it's making it hard for marginalized group. Is it a way of sending people outside the United States? I don't know. This is just how I feel. This is just my talk in regards to this, right? Now, additionally, the administration's broader initiative to dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusive, that's the DEI programs, they call them DEI programs, extends beyond federal agencies to the private and non-profit sectors. This includes placing federal DEI employees on administrative leave and adding investigations into organizations that continue DEI practices. Such action could further marginalize communities that have historically faced discrimination, as DEI programs often play a crucial role in fostering inclusive environments and ensuring equal opportunities, right? I think something is definitely wrong. We need to talk about this. I feel like this is something that we definitely need to talk about, because it's important, and it's important for we black people. It's important for all marginalized group people in the United States. And as much as you might think about your kid is going to school, who's going to be employing them? When your kid gets sick, when you get sick, why are you going to be building your house? Because these are, I mean, it's going to be a lot more crazy, right? The revocation of the executive order, that is 11246, and the broader rollback of DEI initiates a poised to adversely affect black individuals and other marginalized groups by potentially increasing employment disparities, reducing workplace diversity, and undermining efforts to promote inclusivity and equal opportunity in both public and private sectors. That's how crazy it's going to be. So I just want to know your discussion in regards to this, how you really feel about this, because this is going to be affecting a lot of citizens, a lot of American citizens. It is a factor. It's true, right? So tell me what to think about this. These are presented Unique Stories, and I'm hoping to see you next. I'm hoping to see you on my next video. But until then, just tell me what to think, because I don't think this is a good news to marginalized communities, black folks in general, right? Because we got to talk about this. It's important. Until then, I'm going to be seeing you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.